Part 1. The K-9 stood frozen in the middle of the pediatric intensive care hallway, every muscle locked, every instinct screaming that something was wrong. Doctors, nurses, and military security officers had tried everything to move him, but the massive Belgian Malinois refused to take a single step away from the unconscious little girl lying behind the glass doors. His low growl echoed through the silent corridor each time anyone except one exhausted Navy SEAL captain came closer. Captain Ethan Cross looked as though he had survived a battlefield only to lose the war at home. His camouflage uniform was stained with dried blood that wasn't his own. 12 hours earlier, his convoy had been ambushed overseas. Somehow he had escaped, only to receive another devastating call before boarding the emergency flight home. His 8-year-old daughter, Lily, had collapsed without warning during a school ceremony. Now she lay connected to machines while the hospital searched desperately for answers. The K-9 beside Ethan was Ranger, a combat dog decorated for saving soldiers in impossible situations. Ranger had never disobeyed an order before. Until today. "I said stand down," Ethan whispered. Ranger looked at him, ears twitching, but remained planted outside Lily's room. Several staff members exchanged uncomfortable glances. "Maybe sedate the dog," one physician suggested. Before Ethan could answer, another voice interrupted. "Don't." Everyone turned toward the young nurse walking calmly down the hallway. Her name badge read Rachel Bennett. She looked far younger than most of the senior staff, and judging by the skeptical expressions around her, she was used to being underestimated. The attending physician frowned. "This is a military matter, Nurse Bennett." Rachel ignored him. Instead, she looked directly into Ranger's amber eyes. Then she quietly spoke 2 words, "Shadow 7." The effect was immediate. Ranger stopped growling. His tail lowered, his breathing slowed. Even Ethan stared in disbelief. Only one small group of special operations handlers had ever used that call sign. "Where did you hear that?" Ethan asked. Rachel didn't answer immediately. Instead, she slowly extended one empty hand. Part 2. Rachel slowly stepped into Lily's room, and Ranger followed without making a sound. The monitors continued their steady rhythm, but Rachel wasn't watching the machines. She was watching the dog. Combat K-9s were trained to detect things long before humans noticed them. Ranger's eyes never left the IV line running into Lily's arm. "Stop the infusion," Rachel said quietly. The attending physician looked offended. "On what authority?" "On the authority that this dog has trusted his instincts in combat more times than any of us have trusted ours. Look at him." Everyone turned. Ranger had moved between the IV pump and Lily's bed, whining softly. Ethan's voice hardened. "Do what she says." The infusion was stopped. Rachel carefully examined the tubing and noticed tiny crystals floating inside the clear medication. It was almost invisible. She called for the pharmacy to test the bag immediately. Minutes later, the lab called with shocking news. The medication had been contaminated. A heavy silence filled the room. The physician who had mocked Rachel lowered his head. "That shouldn't be possible." Rachel wasn't convinced. "Accidents don't usually happen like this." As security locked down the hospital floor, Ethan looked at Rachel with growing curiosity. "You still haven't answered my question. How do you know Ranger's call sign?" Rachel hesitated before speaking. "Years ago, my father worked with military K-9 units. I was just a teenager, but he taught me something he never taught anyone else. Every elite dog had a private emergency call sign. Shadow 7 belonged to Ranger." Ethan's eyes widened. "My father was Sergeant Daniel Bennett." The captain froze. "I knew him." Rachel nodded sadly. "He saved your team during an extraction mission. He never came home." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then every light in Lily's room suddenly flickered. The heart monitor screamed. Lily's pulse crashed. Doctors rushed forward as Rachel immediately began emergency treatment, giving rapid instructions with complete confidence. Ethan watched in stunned silence. This wasn't the quiet nurse everyone dismissed. She moved with the precision of someone who had faced life and death moments before. Just as Lily's heartbeat returned, Ranger sprinted out of the room, barking furiously toward the emergency stairwell. A security officer ran after him. Seconds later, a desperate shout echoed through the hallway. "Stop him. Someone's trying to escape." Ranger walked forward without hesitation and gently rested his head against her palm. The hallway fell silent. For the first time since arriving, the dog allowed someone else near Lily's room. No one understood why. But Rachel's expression revealed something far more troubling. She wasn't relieved. She looked frightened. And deep inside, she already suspected that the little girl's collapse had nothing to do with ordinary illness. Part 3. Ranger raced down the stairwell with unmatched speed, cornering a hospital technician who had abandoned his badge and was desperately trying to escape through a service exit. The man froze as the powerful K-9 stood inches away, teeth bared but perfectly disciplined, refusing to attack unless commanded. Security officers arrived seconds later and placed the suspect in handcuffs. Hidden inside his bag, they discovered stolen medical records, false identification, and a small vial containing the same contaminant found in Lily's IV. The shocking discovery confirmed everyone's worst fear. Lily had not suffered a mysterious illness. She had been deliberately targeted. As investigators questioned the suspect, the truth emerged piece by piece. Ethan's recent mission had dismantled an international smuggling network, and someone wanted revenge by hurting the one person he loved most. The hospital employee had been secretly recruited weeks earlier, waiting for the perfect opportunity. He never expected a military dog to recognize danger before any human could. Back in the intensive care unit, Lily slowly opened her eyes. Her first weak smile was for Ranger, who gently rested his head beside her bed without making a sound. Tears filled Ethan's eyes as he held his daughter's hand. Then he turned toward Rachel. "You saved her twice today," he said quietly. "First by trusting Ranger, then by refusing to let everyone else's doubts silence you." Rachel smiled through her own tears. "Your team once trusted my father when nobody else did. Today I was simply honoring the courage he taught me." The attending physician stepped forward, his voice filled with genuine regret. "I judged you before I knew you. I'm sorry." Rachel accepted the apology with quiet grace. Respect earned through actions meant far more than empty praise. Weeks later, Lily walked out of the hospital holding Ethan's hand while Ranger proudly marched beside them. Doctors, nurses, soldiers, and hospital staff lined the hallway, applauding not only the brave little girl but also the nurse whose calm courage had changed everything. Ethan presented Rachel with his unit's challenge coin, a symbol rarely given to civilians. "My father would have treasured this," Rachel whispered. "He already earned it," Ethan replied. "Today, you earned your own." As the family disappeared into the morning sunlight, Ranger glanced back one final time, as if thanking the woman who had remembered the forgotten call sign that saved a life. Sometimes the greatest heroes wear uniforms. Sometimes they wear scrubs. And sometimes the only one who recognizes the truth is a loyal dog who refuses to give up. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more unforgettable stories of courage, sacrifice, and hope.